Well, so you've been with us now for, let's see here, over 3 years, correct?
Yes, sir. We are right at the just a touch over the 3 year mark. Yeah, 3 years.
You've been doing surveying in Middle Tennessee for 28 years?
I would say 27 and a half to be exact.
27 and a half. That's called accuracy. That's why he's a surveyor. Okay. You don't want to be an inch this way or an inch that way. You want to be right on. But so kind of tell us a little bit about where your, surveying began, man.
All right. I went to college, studied sports medicine, thought that's what I wanted to do. Internship over at Vanderbilt's McGugin Center for a whole summer. And after the end of that
Forgot about
summer, I
that.
was just kind of like, this is not for me. I didn't enjoy that. Didn't have fulfillment. Graduated, went ahead. I approached my parents about changing my major one more time. They shut that idea down. So I just kind of wrote out that degree I had going. Finished up, got my degree, needed immediate money. In this day, you flip through the newspaper. If you kids ever heard of one of those, you looked in the wanted ads and answered an ad that simply said Rodman with a number. Call
Like
and
Dennis Rodman,
yeah,
or is it Rod Man?
Rodman. Yeah, yeah. I
That's interesting. And that could have been taken so many different ways. But anyways, go ahead.
yes, you could continue.
Sorry, Clayton. Did that make you uncomfortable?
Just feels
I
like
did
it
not,
right now.
or I didn't mean to, or did I? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that ended up being a well-established firm in Nashville, Little John Engineering, great place. Uh,
Yeah.
got the job.
That was off 21st Avenue, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right up the street from the Traveler, if
Yeah.
you've ever been there. Sam's, Jonathan's. It was a great location. We'll say that. Very convenient.
Your name is still spoken in some sections down
in
there, sir.
some
Just so you know.
dark corners.
Oh, yeah.
Got the job, fell in love with it the very first day, never turned back. Just a great experience. I kind of worked that day out in the woods, not knowing what I was doing. Looking back, we were staking bulldozing limits for some apartments out in Bellevue, snowing.
And what are bulldozing limits? Just
Yeah, that's just kind of the limits of the area they're going to clear. So we would go in when
like a do not cross this line.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
People do that for me. It's called boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
Not at all. Don't cross this line, Josh. Sorry. Go ahead.
You're right. So worked with them for quite a while. A lot of good people over there. Kind of bumped my way around with a few Nashville firms. E. Roberts Alley and Associates, another great place. Carrying on, worked for a couple of mom and pop outfits, and then lo and behold, worked for one of the really good engineer in town. Older guy, he decides to retire, so it kind of left me out in.
Well, let me ask you this.
dark.
So through all that, when did you realize, hey, man, this is for me? Like, I really enjoy this and I can make a career out of it.
It was day one. Day one, I never looked back. I never tried to get a
What was it about it you liked?
freedom, man. Real, you go into the office for an hour, get your workload, and then it's just you and the crew chief out there. And
So autonomy, just going out.
yeah, and the diversity of job site. One minute I'm out in the woods with a machete chopping a line, and the next minute I'm on Broadway.
Yeah.
High rises, I'm marking out sidewalks, utilities, whatever.
Right.
So it's just kind of neat. I've always enjoyed the aspect of showing up on site and being that guy that's important. They're
Yeah.
all looking to you for an answer. Nobody knows. So I don't know. Always been kind of fun to feel important on a job site.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Lo and behold, let me think about how this came about. I think we have common friends over at a large builder in Middle Tennessee, which brought you and I together.
Oh, we're talking about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole story on that is as you know, we started everything, and we were mainly doing structural, and sat down with one of our, better clients, and one of the guys in the meeting, he was like, "Hey, do y'all do surveying? And are you interested in doing surveying?" And I was kind of like, "Well, sure, yeah." Me, I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Sure, we do.
So he said, "Well, I've got a gentleman I want to introduce you to. It's the firm he's working for is shutting its doors by choice, and we love him. I'm not really sure why,
Mhm.
Jeremy, but they love him, and would like to introduce you guys." So you and I set up lunch, and we go over here to Jasmine's. It was
Correct.
right around Christmas, just before, and I want to hear your recap of that introduction and story, because it's always good to hear that perspective.
I just mostly remember leaving there like, this is it. This is the one. How could all this line up the way it has? It's God's work here. There's no denying that. I mean, really, the odds
Yeah,
of your need and my need and us meeting there that day, and just the back and forth and leaving there and just knowing like
yeah,
we got something here.
yeah.
This is gonna work out. Um,
And I think that's the thing that when we sat down that day, number one, we started talking about the Lord. That was a big connection with our mission statement, which I think was not common. You weren't
right.
used to hearing that, especially from a business owner. And you know, I, the thing that that always attracts people the most is the positivity, the energy that you bring. You're very optimistic, person. You bring a lot of energy, and you brought it that day, man, and you knew it. And the crazy thing is, I hadn't done surveying in a long time. I'd seen people out there doing surveying, and because we've been around the civil field forever, and but I think the last time I'd actually done field surveying 20 25 years at that time. And so, in my mind, I'm thinking, chains, and you got to have 6 men for this crew. And so we kind of started talking about it over the next week or two, back and forth about how we're going to figure this out, because that's it. I mean, we were like, we got to figure this out. And Jeremy's like, "Dude, I just need a robot and me." And I'm like, in my mind, just a little bit of insight. In my mind, a robot, I mean, I'm thinking of like Short Circuit, that movie, that little robot rolling around. 'Cause I
Johnny
hadn't seen
Five.
it for Johnny Five. I hadn't
Yes, sir.
seen it in forever. And so, I'm talking to our CAD team, and how we, you take the field data, import it in, and literally we just said, you know what? This is a great opportunity. Because when we say surveying, we were doing a lot of, we wanted to get more into the civil side, and we needed the field data to do a lot of our civil design. And so Jeremy's just experience and everything is just, it's really hard to find this kind of experience. So we said, you know what, we'll figure it out. I took out, can't remember what the equipment was, probably $80,000 or $90,000 loan
Yeah, it's a
on the
touch
equipment.
under six figures.
Got you a truck. So we were all in about 100K in loans, and Jeremy started, and we figured it out.
We did.
We figured out the first job we did is right here. That was a site survey we did, just getting all the topo and boundaries and stuff for a civil site plan that we were doing for a house off of Harding. That's the first one we did. Looks like crap, don't it?
Feels like a lifetime ago. Really.
It does,
We
man.
have improved our game. Most definitely.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still involved a lot in the CAD stuff, but all the data points and stuff. Patrick was bringing all that stuff in in the beginning, like 1 point
thank
at a
goodness for
time.
Pete.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, he figured a lot of that stuff out.
Yeah.
And to look back on it, a lot of people would be like, "You figured it out." Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same story with the structural stuff. Did I ever show you that? That's one of the first structural designs that I did. That was handwritten, and I can't.
I like that.
The first one I did, it got ruined because I had our files downstairs, like in kind of the basement crawl space, which is wet. and I made the mistake of kind of putting it down at the bottom file, and it got super wet. But that was one of the ones that survived. That was done like in the first 6 months. Don't review it. There's probably some mistakes all in it, but yeah, that's I love keeping the history, for the memories and stuff like that. But yeah, we have come a long way. But I remember going out on site, and I pull in, and there's Jeremy, just big smile on his face, just happy. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Just happy. He loves what he does. But that robot, and I'm going to tell a story about the equipment too, because that's a funny story.
Yes, it is.
But I go out on site, and he's got this staff like Gandalf on Lord of the Rings. And he's just tromping around with his boots on. They're untied, like Cousin Eddie. And that robot's following him around like a crazy ex-girlfriend. Everywhere you went, and you would hit the little button, and it would shoot the point, get the data up, down, where you are on the GPS coordinates.
Yep.
It was incredible to watch, man. And to see where it's come now, it's some of the fastest turnaround times, how we get this stuff done. It's incredible.
I've been blessed to hit the right segment of time, I guess, to see a lot of improvement in technology. Because even when I started, it wasn't that long ago, we were still handwriting in field books. You had, every survey engineer firm around had a basement that just was lines of field books because you had to keep those records. They didn't trust the witchcraft, we'll say, of
Right.
turning things radially and staying in one point. It was it's just so new. And now, like you were just talking about, I've got a robot out there that just tracks me wherever I go. That's in the woods. It's amazing.
Yeah, and now they're using drones.
Right. Yeah, we won't go down the LiDAR road.
No.
It's impressive.
But let me ask you this: why do you think? And we'll tell the equipment story in a second. But why do you think that surveying is not? It's a field. It's a kind of a career path that most young professionals just skip over. Is it perception? Is it what do you think it
I
is?
think there might be a perception of hard work, and it might be accurate. I mean, you do have to have a balance of knowledge of technology. So, you're dealing with multiple satellites in our orbit, and you're triangulating a point between a base station, numerous satellites, and a rover out there. And at the same time, you've got to pick up a machete, and they're up there. You have to pick up a machete and be able to blaze a line, through a mangrove, whatever. So I think that's kind of what attracted the whole thing to me is the mix of both aspects. But I think the hard labor aspect of things maybe turns them off. I
Yeah.
don't know, but you are correct. There's not a lot of young folk in
There's
the
not.
survey profession. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, because it's a great career path. And, we have talked about this, on the development side of things is, surveying is part of civil engineering.
Right.
You learn a lot, you go through a lot of surveying classes. And, from a development perspective, giving engineers in training, I think it's the FE now, they've passed their FE, but giving them, a season out in the field doing surveying work, I think all that type of experience makes you a better engineer. One of the reasons why I became so much better at structural engineering and could just see it was because I had so much field experience. I had field experience before I really got into the design stuff of lumber and concrete and foundations, going out and crawling through crawl spaces and seeing this stuff.
Right.
It just changes your entire perspective, because I remember going through engineering school and you're doing these formulas, but you have no idea what the heck you're doing. You're just like, give me the formula and I'll plug and chug. And I mean, there's a need for that, but getting, and maybe you'll find you get out in the field and you're like, man, I love this. You're out here in the woods and with nature, and you're hacking stuff down and you're running from dogs and jumping fences, and people are like
humans.
Yeah.
Don't forget those guys.
Absolutely. But going back to, you were talking about field notes and all that kind of stuff. You know, you forgot about like expansion contraction with your chain. Like, you remember those days?
Yes, I do. You had to calculate.
How long ago was that?
Temperature. That I would say 30.
Do you remember that, Clayton?
It's the way I learned to survey. Is at the University of Tennessee, was doing exactly that. Was
There's a nice drop there. There's a nice drop.
Had to drop University of Tennessee Civil Engineering Department in there, but
Go Vols.
And that's the way I learned to survey.
Yeah.
And now I mention that, and people look at me like I have two heads, and it's like, you got to be, no, you're not that old, and I'm really not. I just lived a hard life, but that's the way we learn. I mean, we're kind of in that realm together.
Yeah, it is advanced quickly.
So to that, you know, talking about the equipment and stuff. So, you know, we get this loan, and Jeremy calls me one day and he says, "Hey, the equipment's here." And I mean, you know, you drop 70, 80 grand on equipment, whatever it was. You know, the last time I had really been around surveying equipment, it took up an entire truck. Took 4 or 5 people on a crew. You know, this is like legit.
Right.
And I show up to the office, and there's a briefcase, there's a tripod, and there's that staff. And I go, "Jeremy, where's the equipment? I thought it was here." He said, "Bro, this is all we need." And I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And again, going back to what I thought that robot was going to be, it's just it's a lens, a stand. It looks a lot like almost a short lens telescope, but it just sits on top of that tripod. And like I said, it just follows that prism around, and you've got your little iPad now.
Yeah.
It's the most incredible thing.
It really is. All Windows based. It's just user friendly, which is always nice for me. The easier they make it, the better. But like you say, it's hard to believe it's $75,000 in that box.
I know, man. I know. So talking about surveying a little bit more, what are some of the challenges that, you know, you kind of see coming up for the surveying field? I mean, is it taking that jump in learning technology? Is it what do you think it is?
I think that would be, because it's not easy. You do have a lot of stuff you got to know. That's big challenges.
Give us an example. Like, you know, is it the research side of it? Is it paying attention to the details?
It is having to be right 100% of the time. It's tough. You can't be wrong. You can't. You have to have your checks in place to know that this $300,000 foundation is square.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty important, or it's not over the setback. You know, that's always a bad one. You get out there and it's like, hey, this thing's encroaching on the neighbor. We're going to pick it up and move it over a little. Well, you're talking about $500,000 worth of work. No big deal.
Right.
So as I mentioned, it's just there's a touch of pressure with it. You just have to be on all the time. There's no room. A lot of people give me a hard time. "I called you, man. I called you. Why ain't you answering?" And I have to tell them, like, man, I'm dialed in on a job. I have to stay focused. I can slightly multitask, but I just can't afford to miss something out there. So you just have to be so.
Especially today with how tight they're packing in these lots in the subdivision.
They are actually designing lots to fit houses now. So yeah.
And I think the tricky too, and this is me outside looking in, and everybody's like, "Well, you know, you got drones now and technology," but here's what you don't understand. There's a lot of these projects, I've seen them, where we're taking properties that were platted, you know, 100 years ago, and it's handwritten in there, and you're having to go 8 lots over to find a pin that was driven by Fred 80 years ago, and then start backtracking. And then, you know, but the cost to do that, and the time and the liability to do that, it's a hard thing to get people to wrap their head around. I don't think they quite can understand that, but you're having to back your way in to identify exactly where those property pins go. Cause you can't be, "Oh, that's close enough."
Right.
This isn't a hand grenade.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's tricky. You get, as you mentioned, a deed from 1910 that reads southerly 200 feet to a 12-inch maple.
Yep.
That maple ain't there anymore.
That's right.
So, like you say, you're expanding out. You're pulling the deed for every lot down that road both
What's
ways.
so southerly? That's just going south in a general direction, or
Yep, southerly, which is
that's like getting directions from me. Hey, man, it's over yonder.
Yonder way.
What's the oldest? Is Readyville the oldest one we've done? Because that one was surveyed. That house was kind of in the Civil War period.
I would think so. That probably beats the other ones by.
Do you remember what that elevation certificate was? Remember, it had the actual stone stamp on the side of the house.
I do remember that. I haven't thought of that in quite a while, but that was pretty neat.
It was very cool.
Yeah. That
was a cool structural job. That house got hit. So this house in Readyville, it was a hospital during the Civil War. Literally, the hardwood still had bloodstains in them from the, where the wounded were taken. It had 2 U.S. presidents that stayed there because Murfreesboro, that was a huge area before I-40 came in.
Right.
And so a tornado had hit it, and this thing had original, 14-inch, just true brick walls. So, the inner structural wall was like 7-8 inches of brick, and then the outer facades were 3-4 inch brick, right? And they still had the original, because they would, the masons back then, they would flip the bricks sideways and turn them into keys to create, your hangers for your brick.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went in, we had to survey that house, and, we totally redid the infrastructure of it. Like, they were putting tape down to number the hardwood so they knew exactly how to put it back in, because it's just so historical. That was a cool house. We encapsulated the foundation because it was true old, stone foundation. And we designed a little a footing to encapsulate it, get us shored up, and then that was a fun job. But I remember you out there finding pins out in the middle of the driveway, and you remember all that?
River right behind it too.
Yep.
Other side of the river.
Yeah, it looked like an atomic bomb had gone off down there. But I think that's the thing is with surveying, yes, there's been huge technological advances, but you're trying to blend that with stuff that's 100 years old. And, believe it or not, record keeping is not the best, no matter where you go. So there's always going to be this need for actual hard, field work out. And it's kind of turning into, to me, the biggest challenge surveying faces is getting young surveyors in it and getting that whole career path, a preferred career path. And it may be kind of like what we're talking about, where it's a blend, where you have, people who, the days of just dedicated surveyors, it's going to be hard to find people because, dude, you're a unique guy. You love going out in the field. You love being out there. And hey, listen, that's a good thing. That's a compliment. I know I'm about as unique as they come too. I'm a little on the spectrum, but you take a civil and you train them in surveying, and they're having to go out into the field and get data. I mean, dude, there's nothing better than being able to diversify and go out in the field like that. We've got to figure out a way to make it cool, make it something that people want to do.
To that point, that is one thing we do here. Everyone that works over civil survey has spent time with me in the field. Basically, within a couple of weeks of their hire, we have them. Lampkin has been out there with me.
Who's the worst one? It's okay. You can tell us. Just say his name rhymes with.
His name
rhymes with Tukas.
You said it. No, they've all been fantastic and interested, and it just helps, like you say, with their aspect of the job. Understanding what we're out there doing, how we gather the data, how some things might be harder. That you might be asking for something you think is just an easy little deal when it's like, man, what we have to do is, start by driving out to the courthouse or to the register of deeds.
But why? Because it's not available online.
Right.
Yeah.
And to that point, one thing I do miss, one thing I fell in love with surveying was the typical day used to include stop by the office, get your workload. Based on the county you were working in, you headed straight to the town square where the
Yeah.
Register of Deeds was. So
Yeah.
it was always really cool little area. And of course, it had the meet and three
You
there.
had your coffee in your hand.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
So you started your day in there doing your research, looking through those old
Quick
plat
question:
books.
was there ever a time when you were like dipping, like you get into a little chaw?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
man, you got
So you got
your-
your little dip
got
in,
your
little cat.
view.
Oh yeah, you got to get Okay,
Shout out Skull Straight, long cut.
boom.
But yeah, that was always, of course, with the internet now. The larger, more populated counties, we can go online and
Yeah.
look that stuff up. Some of the more rural counties, we still go to the courthouse and get a little taste of the old school. So it's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you say, it's so neat to read through some of those things that like somebody wrote this thing out.
What's
100
the
years
weird?
ago.
Can you remember like one of the weirdest ones you've ever had? Where it
An
was?
old boss of mine had, I forget the exact terminology, but this guy's distance was how many cigarettes he smoked. No lie.
Were these hand rolled?
Man,
Are we talking about like Marlboro Reds?
Right. That leaves everything open
These
to
cigarillos? I
of-
mean, that could really.
Yeah.
That's
it leaves things open to interpretation.
Yeah,
like
it
a lot of
does.
other descriptions,
It's almost like buried treasure.
with some old stuff, man. I love that kind of thing.
And most of that's handwritten too.
Yes, the old ones are. And when you've gone out there and you find one of these things, they used a lot of axles, trailer axles back in the day, wagon axles.
Yeah.
They would stick them in the ground.
It's okay. I go
And,
eat a little bit too.
And
They stuck that thing down in the ground.
the absolute best reward is when 2 or 3 surveyors been out there prior and they're claiming it ain't there, and they send us, and it's like, we found.
You ever send them a letter or
No, I'd love
like a selfie?
I'd love to. Yeah.
You know,
No
what I'm saying?
big deal.
No,
Yeah.
big deal,
We
guys.
got you
I
taken
found
care
it.
of.
Listen, it was probably raining that day. Bad weather. I get
Yeah.
it. You know.
Get it. That's always rewarding. So that increases the hunt. It makes it even more rewarding when 2 or 3 guys have been out there and claiming it's just not there, guys. And, all right, let me take a look.
Yeah, and what's surprising me, it's amazing to me, like we're doing work down at Alejandro, and I think you had gone to him, and Jeremy's like, oh yeah, I've surveyed down there before. I mean, there's a lot. There's not a lot of places around here that you haven't surveyed.
Yeah, I've done my whole career right here in Middle Tennessee. Very seldom did we travel. Back in the day, I worked for a company. We did Tennessee state-owned property, topo boundary work. I'll tell you a little bit about one of my favorite jobs we ever did.
Love to hear it.
Out in Merville, Tennessee.
That's where I was born.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I did not know.
I was born. Notice I haven't been back there.
You're done.
No, well, no. There's a restriction on me.
Not having you
I
back.
can go into
He's
Blunt.
not allowed to go back.
I can go
That's
into
his
Blunt
choice.
County. I just can't go into Merville. Yeah. We won't go there. Anyways, go ahead.
So-
Sorry.
They had
What year was this?
this was probably about 2003-ish. I would
Okay.
say.
Okay.
They're having an issue with a large tract out there that's off of, what's the main highway out there?
411.
It's got a name like,
Coast Highway.
no, what are the hills called?
Lamar. What'd you say, Will?
Or Alexander.
Is it? Foothills Parkway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
That's
what
where
I'm trying-
Foothills Mall, all that stuff is.
So we're kind of off Foothills Parkway up there. They got a big, large tract out there that is state-owned property for bear hunting. Well, next to that is a huge tract that's YMCA owned for whatever anybody wants to do out there for the YMCA camping. And they were just intent on making sure the campers knew not to cross over
Yeah.
into that hunting land. So, and this is some rough terrain, mountainous, and we had to hack the lines with a machete. You chop into the tree, paint it yellow, and we have to walk this line. Well, the aspect I loved about it was so long that we could not walk in a day. You couldn't walk as far as we had to go and get back to the truck.
Yeah.
So we got what we could, and then the last day we camped out there. So we worked, then just set up camp, spent the night, and got up so we could finish that line. And then
Did you take your food or did you shoot it when you went there?
we took it out there.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a good bear eater. Bear tastes good.
It's kind of chewy.
Chewy.
I don't know. I've never had
Seems-
bear,
seems
Jerry.
like
Jeremy, never mind.
Seems tough.
I'm not surprised you would ask me that. I'm not. But I behave sometimes. Anyways, you'd think I was raised by bears. But anyways, so that, you love that.
Yeah, I loved being out like that with the fellas and cutting up and
Yeah.
just getting paid for it in the end. I'm like, they're paying me for hiking and camping, basically, which is the way I felt from the start. Like, oh, I get a check too for doing this. All right. And I like math. You got to like math to be in that profession. You've got to be able to do some basic calculations to come up with a number to plug into the Windows-based stuff. But
one of the funnest things I always loved about the structural side was the forensic side of it. Figuring out, because you're dealing with a lot of history, and you get into these older houses that, even ones that are built 30 or 40 years ago, trying to solve what is causing this. We had that, we figured out this thing about, these California corners in framing where you're getting these air pockets. It's getting super cold. And if you get an interior door up against it, it shrinks the header and then you get these drywall cracks. Well, people here think that that's a structural issue. And, but figuring stuff like that out is fun. It's fun because you get to go back into history. I mean, I would go underneath in these crawl spaces that, from 1850 and, the piers, which are the structural supports for your wood members in the middle of the house, they're rocks, stacked rocks,
Right.
Not even like carved rocks. They're stacked rocks. And you're thinking, Billy Bob set these 170
Right.
years
The
ago.
last person to touch.
Oh, look,
these.
there's a thumb.
Yeah.
I mean, and you just, you think about that. It's cool because you're getting to touch history.
Yep.
And so, all right. So back to, let me ask you this with AEC, obviously you get a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
Right.
I get my steps in.
You get your steps in. I mean, how many are you averaging a day? 15?
I would say it on average. I'll touch 20 on a big day. And
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to typically walk if we're creating a topographic survey, typically you're doing a 50 by 50 grid. You're walking the whole property. So it's usually based on how large the parcel is, how many steps I get.
Yeah. So with what we're doing here at AEC with the Vanguard and everything else, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, how do you feel like that has not just helped our culture, helped you? Because I know, we've really ramped it up this year, gone more into the team aspect part of things. I think and I want to talk to you. I don't want to, but from a cultural perspective, from just a personal perspective, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
And how things are different here in general.
Just like you mentioned, us transitioning to these team challenges, the whole team aspect of things. I love competition. Anything. We'll see who can throw a quarter closest to that wall. I'm in. Let's see who can do it,
MJ used to do that.
Yeah.
Did you steal that from MJ?
We used to play quarters when I built decks. I don't know if people still do that anymore. That was we'd throw quarters.
Yeah.
Before lunch.
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds like an ancient thing. But the competition aspect, it has really, on a personal level, engaged me even more because I love team anything. I feel obligated to do my best, where if it's just me against whoever, I could slack off and I don't feel too bad about it. But man, throw me on somebody's team and I don't want to disappoint,
Yeah.
I want to be that guy that's helping out. And this last quarter, the challenges, shout out Team McLaren.
What was your
Correct
team
that.
again? By the way, do not leave your lampions laying around.
This guy,
Clayton will pilfer them. I've caught him a couple of different times. So if you've got a
he's
couple
smart
missing,
not to take too many.
he is, but he doesn't put them back in his case. He hides them. Anyway, go ahead.
I love competition, and I always have. So I think it's helped everybody become closer. There's lots of discussion. Of course, I believe immediately everybody created their own text thread, so we've got our team groups. We're chatting back and forth. Everything I'm seeing talk in the office about macros. I've never seen that before.
What's a macro, Jeremy?
Well, that's just like you broken down nutrition. Come on,
baby.
It's just something you don't see every day, and people in there talking about, hey man, what'd you eat? Well, try this. We had a challenge where we had to hit our macros right on the money, which is not easy. I learned it takes planning the previous day, and it takes commitment.
And I will say that after doing it a while, it does become easy because it's just like anything else. Just like you show up on a site and to do this, and this, macros are the same way. But how was that? How did you do? Did you cheat
I did not.
The Ferrari team, or did you?
I did learn that
the Ferrari team cheated, right?
Did they?
Yeah. Well, June threw up in the parking lot.
That's true. That's true.
That was Team Red Bull, by the way.
Oh,
we're Team Red Bull, and that was.
See, they're so weak. I forgot about them. Anyways,
I did learn that you can come up a little short and then eat about 375 almonds.
By the way, Ferrari's my team. Go ahead.
Almonds are the secret to get you those incremental numbers. When you come up just a little bit short and then eat 40 almonds. And whatever it takes to get you there. So that's what I did.
Yeah,
it was a lot of preparation. It's really, and I imagine if you did that every day, the previous day before, I had everything laid out there. Of course, I took pictures of everything, and I can only imagine the work it takes to do that day in and day out.
It, like I said, once you kind of get used to it. Like I've got a system, like I've got daily, it just goes to memory,
right.
You get used to it. And, once you get I used to have a 5-day meal plan. I knew what I was going to eat for breakfast, snack, lunch, and breaking it into 5 or 6 meals a day is important too, because then you can break it into manageable 300 to 400 calorie, 500 calorie meals. And it's really about balance, but a lot of it is just this. It's about bringing awareness to the subject, and it takes time.
Right.
So kind of closing with Alliance in general, because you've been a couple places.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest difference here from other? Obviously, most engineering firms don't have a podcast studio.
Right.
They're not as intentional with stuff, but.
For me, it's no doubt the after hours time spent together. Previous places I've worked, all great people, but when it's closing time, I'll see you tomorrow morning, dude.
Yeah.
Here, just before I came over, we're trying to get trivia night dialed in on what works best for everybody, and everybody's excited about it. And it's just, we're working out before work. We're planning.
Which opens up so many doors for conversations.
It does.
Suffering a little bit together. And I learned this from BMI, like the rat line. When you suffer with people and you go through hard things with people, it bonds you. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
I believe that for sure. That's the difference. I think it's, the after hours connection that I've never seen in a previous company, which is fun. It just makes it, this is life. It makes it more enjoyable. I've never woken up and thought, oh, great, I got to go in there this morning and put on a face or whatever. Got to go work. Like, man, I'm up and at it. I'm perky, ready to go. Shower some mornings.
Yeah.
Even come in, you know.
I was going to say something to you about that, but I'm glad you brought it up and you
Wait,
learned that on.
That's a private discussion.
Yeah, for another.
Yeah.
That's another podcast.
But well, certainly man, you've played a huge part in that. You know, it's like we were talking with Patrick the other day, Garcia, and he was our first hire here, and you were our first U.S.
Yeah, longest
person here.
tenured guy here.
You are, man. You are, but you were one of the foundational pieces in this. I mean, we once I had you here with the surveying field work, that allowed us to leap right into the civil. And we already had the structural piece, and that gave us more of this one-stop shop, but it goes deeper than that. You know, you can have somebody who's a surveyor, but you're a key person here who adds to the culture. You don't drain it. You align with our core values in every shape, fashion, and form. Nobody's perfect, but you are huge and instrumental here, and why you've done so well, and why we're another reason why we're doing so well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
thank you.
plus the mustache, man. The mustache, the
It's
power
undeniable.
dash. It is undeniable. Just like the sign.
And you know, sitting here and listening to Jeremy's story and stories, you see the class that this guy carries, and just the interpersonal skills that he deals with our clients, with our colleagues, our team.
Yeah.
And he is who he is.
Yep.
And you don't see that a lot in people. And he's a great part of this team, and just great example of the industry
He gets it
that
done.
we're fortunate to be in. And Jeremy's just he's total class, and plus he's a Tennessee Vol fan. So I mean, that, you know,
I can't disagree with that one, sir. That's an excellent.
but he just, you can see through his discussion here today what he brings to a team.
Yeah.
And you know, and talk about the surveying field also. There's more. And I heard this, and I need to do a fact check on this. I think there's more people retiring every year from the surveying industry than are entering. And so backfilling as these people, and Jeremy, he's a young guy. He and I are, but
right.
Guess what? 30 years from now, he's going to be talking about retiring. So, so we need to have 40 years, and have, who is his next generation.
Sit around. You
not-
can't go around
I'm
your
not-
garden.
I plan on falling out, greeting people at Walmart.
Dang right. As you survey their parking lot.
That's right.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Hopefully-
joining us, dude.
I appreciate y'all having me. Thanks for the compliment, Clayton.
No, absolutely.
We'll do it again. I mean, if you think of anything out in the field, I do want to, with some of this, is we need to do some more field technical stuff. I really want to start a series on YouTube with technical stuff. We'll talk with Zach a little bit about that too. Just talking about technical stuff. Like,
We need to get one in with Luke, because he can talk the jargon.
well, so can you.
Yeah.
So can you, and even if it's in the office.
Right.
But I really, we can really help with this culture on surveying. I know we can. And because really what it boils down to is comfort zones. Once again, people want to sit in their office and go on whatever and do something from a satellite, but you got to get out in the field. It's the best way to learn. And, if we can start to encourage and grow our civil engineers by saying, hey, man, you're going to spend 3 to 4 months out in the field doing surveying, I guarantee you a lot of them will come back and say, I want to do that more often, because you learn so much.
You do.
So
Make a lot of connections.
you do. Thankful, brother.
Thank you, brother. All right.
Let's get old Zachary in here.
Hopefully I'll have something
Jeremy.
to work with there.
You did, Jeremy, you're a pro, man.
All right. We got a couple of coaching notes.
Okay.
First off, do you need those glasses?